In the heart of the Wild West, where the sun burned down on endless plains and tall tales were as common as dust devils, a humble rancher named Jacob Fletcher lived a simple life. His homestead stood proud, yet solitary, on the outskirts of a sprawling frontier town. A man of few words, Jacob spent his days tending to his cattle and dreaming of the life he once had as a soldier. Little did he know, fate had more in store for him than quiet solitude. One warm summer evening, as shadows stretched long across the ground, Jacob heard a commotion near the edge of his property. Curiosity piqued, he made his way outside, gripping a lantern and peering into the gathering dusk. Just beyond his fence, he spotted a figure moving slowly, barely managing to stay upright. It was a man, dressed in tattered clothing and stained with dirt and sweat, leaning against a fence post for support. "Hello there," Jacob called out, squinting to make sense of the blurry outline. As the man turned, Jacob's heart thudded in his chest. The stranger was of native descent, and a deep frown settled across Jacob's brow. Stories of conflict between settlers and tribes echoed through the years, filling his mind with caution. Yet this man was in distress, and Jacob's compassion kicked in. "Need help?" Jacob asked cautiously, still gripping the lantern with one hand while the other hovered over the rifle slung across his shoulder. The man looked up, sweat glistening on his brow. "Yes, please. I've been chased for days. They took my brother." His words were breathy but filled with desperation. I'm lost." Jacob hesitated, the weight of years of prejudice tugging at the corners of his mind. Still, the sight of the man, weary and shaky, stirred something within him. "I can't let you just stand out here. Come inside." As they entered Jacob's barn, the scent of hay and leather embraced them like an old friend. Jacob gestured for the man to take a seat on a wooden crate. "Rest here for a while." The stranger introduced himself as Koa, a member of a nearby tribe, one that Jacob had heard about yet never encountered. Koa explained how his brother had been taken by a rival tribe and he had bravely tried to rescue him, but now found himself in dire straits. Jacob listened intently, his heart softening with each word. Here was a man just like him fighting for his family, for survival. As night fell, Jacob knew he couldn't just let Koa take his chances out there alone. "You can stay until the morning, but you better be careful. Folks around here don't take kindly to those seen on the wrong side of the law," Jacob warned, trying to make sense of the world beyond the barn. Koa nodded, understanding the gravity of his situation. In the flickering lantern light, they found refuge in shared stories. Jacob spoke of his days as a soldier, while Koa told tales of his ancestors, warriors and legends, whose spirits roamed those same lands long before settlers arrived. Hours passed, and as Koa drifted into a much-needed sleep, Jacob watched the shadows dance on the walls. He couldn't shake the feeling that their meeting was destined, written in the stars of a vast and uncaring sky. Yet the night was not without its dangers. Just as dawn began to break, a loud ruckus echoed from outside, the sound of horses galloping and angry shouts. Jacob's heart raced as he bolted upright. "Stay quiet," he hissed to Koa, who was still half asleep. Jacob hurried to peek out through the barn door. A group of rough-looking men on horseback stormed his property. They were armed and wore expressions that promised trouble. Recognizing them as known troublemakers from the nearby town, Jacob felt a surge of urgency. "They must be looking for you," he whispered, panic rising in his chest. With little time to think, Jacob turned to Koa. "You hide behind the haystack. Don't make a sound," he instructed, knowing he had to protect the man he had just met. Koa nodded, quickly moving to the designated spot, his breath silent as a mouse. Jacob took a deep breath and stepped outside, pretending nothing was amiss. "What brings you to my land at this hour?" he called out, his voice strong despite the turmoil within. The leader of the group, a man named Hank, scowled as he approached. "We're looking for a thief, a native man who stole from us. You seen anyone like that?" Jacob fought to keep his expression neutral. "Nope, just me and my cattle here. You'd best be on your way." Hank narrowed his eyes, clearly skeptical. "Funny, we got word he was spotted not too far from here. You ain't hiding something, are you, Jacob?" Feeling a pulse of fear, Jacob maintained his composure. "You can search if you like, but I tell you, you won't find anything here." A tense silence filled the air, thick enough to cut with a knife. Hank seemed to weigh his options before barking out orders for his men to circle the barn. Jacob's mind raced. Time was running out, and Koa's life hung in the balance. "Hold on just a minute," Jacob said, his voice calm but firm. "You want to know about the thief? I do too. You might want to listen to me. You'll find more answers if you trust me." Hank's curiosity was piqued, but his men moved menacingly. "What do you know?" "I know about debts owed," Jacob began slowly. "I know that life out here isn't just about getting what you want. It's about survival and respect among those who live here." He gestured to the plains, where the horizon blazed orange with the morning sun. "Perhaps we can come to an agreement." As they exchanged glances, Koa remained hidden, listening intently. Would Jacob's gamble pay off? Jacob could only hope. The tension was palpable, and as Hank considered the proposal, sheaves of dust swirled around them in the warm breeze. Would they storm the barn, or could Jacob sway them with the power of his words? Finally, Hank's demeanor shifted, if only slightly. "All right, Jacob, we'll give you a chance to explain, but make it quick." With relief flooding through him, Jacob spoke of the stories he'd heard, weaving a tale that highlighted the struggles of tribes against rival factions. He positioned Koa as one who fought for honor, not just for vengeance. As he spoke, the sun rose higher, shining light on their tensions and making reality a little clearer. Just as Jacob finished, Hank's men turned their attention away from Jacob, distracted by a rustling sound within the barn. Koa, realizing the moment was slipping, took a bold risk and stepped out into the light. "I am not a thief," he declared, his voice steady and strong. The group stared, and for a heartbeat time seemed to freeze. The confrontation had reached its pinnacle, one man's courage against the prejudice of many. Would Koa's bravery make a difference, or would it seal his fate? As the sun rose higher, casting radiant light over the confrontation, Koa stood firm, ready to protect his truth. Jacob felt a rush of hope as he realized their fates were now irrevocably intertwined. Would they walk away as allies, or would the darkness of the past consume them both? Koa stepped forward, his voice unwavering as he faced the group of men. The tension in the air crackled like the static before a storm. "I am not the man you seek," he stated firmly, his eyes locked onto Hank's. "I came here out of desperation, not as a thief." Hank, still sizing him up, narrowed his eyes. "What's a native doing this far out? You think we're just going to take your word for it?" Jacob felt the weight of the moment pressing down on him, the fate of both men hanging in the balance. "Hank, listen," he interjected. "Koa came seeking help for his brother, who was taken by a rival tribe. He's not here to cause trouble, he's trying to save a life." The others muttered among themselves, skepticism etched on their faces. Koa stood there, battered but resolute, as he waited for Hank's reaction. It was a delicate dance, one where words would wield more power than guns. "That's so?" Hank finally replied, skepticism dripping from his tone. "And how do we know you're not just spinning a tale?" Koa inhaled deeply, feeling the weight of their gazes. "You could ask the people in my tribe. They would tell you, but—" He hesitated, considering his words thoughtfully before continuing. "Time is of the essence. My brother could be in grave danger. If you want proof, I'll go back to my camp and bring him here." A low murmur spread through the group, and Jacob seized the moment. "Let's think about this. What if we take him at his word? If we treat him fairly, we might find a way to resolve this situation." Hank grunted, contemplating the proposal. "And if he's lying? What do we do then?" Koa took another step forward, maintaining an air of calm amidst the storm brewing around him. "If I'm lying, then I'll do whatever it takes to make it right. You have my word, but I ask for yours in return, to trust me just this once." Silence stretched, the sun glinting harshly off the metal parts of their saddles. Jacob could almost hear the gears turning in Hank's mind, teetering on the edge between aggression and diplomacy. Finally, Hank exhaled deeply, deflating the tension in his shoulders just slightly. "All right, Koa." He straightened up. "You've got one chance. You can go back, but we're going with you. We want to lay eyes on this brother of yours. If you're pulling a trick, you'll answer for it." Koa nodded, relief flooding over him, although he understood the risks. "Lead the way." As they made their way through the dusty trails that led toward Koa's camp, Jacob and Koa rode side by side. "Thank you for backing me up," Koa whispered, eyes scanning the landscape. "You didn't have to do that." "I couldn't just stand by while they hunted you down," Jacob replied, glancing sideways at Koa. "You're not the only one who fights for family out here." Koa nodded, grateful, but aware of the gravity of their situation. "I appreciate it. This isn't just about me anymore, it's about keeping my brother safe." The group traveled cautiously, keeping a lookout for any signs of danger. The wind whispered through the mesquite trees, and the distant mountains loomed like sentinels, bearing witness to their journey. As they closed in on the camp, apprehension hung in the air. When they arrived, the camp was eerily quiet, a stark contrast to the chaos that had enveloped them just moments before. Koa immediately dismounted and scanned the area. "Stay close," he said quietly, eyeing a path that led deeper into the camp. Jacob followed suit, the rough band of men staying alert behind them. As they walked, Koa pointed toward a small tent slightly off to the side. "That's where he'd be," he said, urgency creeping into his voice. As Koa approached, uncertainty ran deep within him. What if his brother was gone? What if the rival tribe had taken him far away? He swallowed hard, gathering courage. "Wait here," he instructed Jacob and the others. The rustling of fabric filled the air as Koa slipped inside the tent. Heart pounding, he called out, "Talon, it's me!" For a brief moment, silence shrouded the tent. Then a voice came from within, weak but unmistakable. "Koa!" Relief washed over Koa, and he pushed the fabric aside to reveal Talon, his brother, lying on a makeshift bed. Bruises marred his face, but his spirit seemed to shine through the pain. "I thought you'd gone." "I'm here now," Koa said, moving to kneel beside him. "I'm going to get you out of here." Jacob and the others entered just as Koa took a look around to assess the situation. Hank stepped forward, scanning the room. "We're not here to stir trouble," he said, attempting to keep the atmosphere calm. "But we need to figure out what happened. Who did this?" Talon squinted against the light, recognition crossing his features. "The Sunwalker tribe. They thought I was scouting, spying for you," he managed through gritted teeth. "They wanted to send a message." Jacob felt a wave of anger rise within him. What do they think? That they can just go around terrorizing everyone? Koa looked back at Jacob, then Talon. "We can't fight back. They're too many. We need to find a way to resolve this without bloodshed." As Jacob helped Talon sit up, he knew their only option was to negotiate. "Let's head back to my place," he suggested. "We can figure out how to confront this tribe together." From there, a plan slowly formed, woven through the shared adversity they faced. Talon would rest and regain strength, while Koa and Jacob plotted their next moves, seeking a way to approach the Sunwalker tribe confidently. As dawn approached, not only did they feel the weight of the battle ahead, but they also embraced the fragile threads of new alliances that had begun to take shape amidst the dust and grit of the Wild West. The morning sun bathed their camp in warm light, illuminating paths of hope and fear intertwined, for the fight was far from over, but they were prepared to stand together in the face of what lay ahead. As dawn crept over the horizon, the first rays of sunlight bathed the rugged terrain in shades of golden orange. Jacob, Koa, and Talon gathered outside the makeshift tent, the chill of the night slowly giving way to a warm breeze that whispered promises of a new day. The previous night's fears lingered, but a sense of determination settled in their hearts. "We need to come up with a solid plan," Jacob said, standing tall with his arms crossed over his chest. "The Sunwalker tribe isn't going to take kindly to any accusations, especially if they think Talon was spying on them." Koa nodded, his face tense with concern. "I know they're protective of their territory. If we confront them the wrong way, it could escalate into a full-blown conflict. We need to approach this with respect." "Respect," Talon echoed, still catching his breath. He leaned against a weathered tree for support. "I've heard stories about how fierce they are. If they kept me alive, it was probably for a reason. They might want something." Jacob's brow furrowed as he considered this. What could they want? Land? Resources? "No," Koa interjected. "They've always been more concerned with honor and retribution. If they think I betrayed them or that Talon was spying, they might seek revenge. But if we come at this from a place of understanding, we may have a chance." "We'll need to show we're willing to listen," Jacob mused. "Maybe even offer something to ease their fears. If we can prove we're not enemies, perhaps they'll let us parley." With that, the trio began to strategize. Koa shared tales of tribal customs and the importance of dialogue in resolving disputes. As they spoke, Jacob's mind raced with possibilities. By the time they formulated a plan, the tension in the air had shifted slightly. It was now filled with rational hope. They resolved to approach a known leader of the Sunwalker tribe, a wise elder named Kaimana. Jacob recalled hearing stories of him, intelligent, cunning, yet fair. "If we can appeal to his sense of reason, we might just pull this off," he stated, a glimmer of determination in his eyes. Having fixed their plan, Koa and Talon took a moment to rest while Jacob gathered supplies. He packed food, water, and a few tokens, items he felt might gain their favor. A beautifully crafted knife from his days as a soldier lay in his pack, its blade glinting under the sun. "This has seen me through many battles. Perhaps it can serve a better purpose now," he thought. Once everything was prepared, they made their way to the Sunwalker territory, the trio moving quietly but with a shared determination. The landscape changed subtly as they approached the borders. Lush trees gave way to rocky outcroppings, and signs of life flourished. Wildflowers dotted the earth, a stark contrast to the tension brewing in their hearts. As they neared the tribal camp, Koa slowed his pace. "Let's keep our voices low and speak only when necessary. The Sunwalker pride runs deep. They'll be watching our every move." Talon nodded, a mix of fear and resolve in his eyes. "If this doesn't go as planned, what then?" "We prepare for the worst," Jacob replied, his voice steady. "But we'll keep the hope that the best will come." The camp appeared ahead, nestled within a cluster of trees. Smoke curled lazily from cooking fires, and voices resonated with a mix of laughter and serious discussion. Koa took a deep breath, drawing strength from the familiar sights and sounds of his people. Upon entering, they attracted glances. Koa straightened his back, stepping forward, as he called out in their native tongue, "I wish to speak with Elder Kaimana." The bustle quieted, and a few members of the tribe exchanged curious looks. Moments later, an imposing figure emerged from the shadows, Kaimana, his presence commanding despite his age. Lines of wisdom etched his face, and his eyes sparkled with intelligence. "Koa, son of the fallen sun, you return. Do you bring news or trouble?" "We come seeking a dialogue, Elder," Koa replied, his voice steady as he gestured toward Jacob and Talon. "We wish to explain the misunderstanding and seek peace." Kaimana studied them for a moment, his gaze shifting to Jacob, then back to Koa, weighing the gravity of their situation. "Peace is not given lightly, boy. Speak your truth, and let us see if it holds merit." Jacob stepped forward, his heart pounding but emboldened by Koa's resolve. "Elder, I am Jacob Fletcher. I have helped Koa and Talon. We didn't come to claim land or challenge your ways. We desire only to rectify a mistake that has led to misunderstanding." Kaimana leaned slightly closer, intrigue flickering in his eyes. "Mistake? Speak clearly, settler. Do not dance around with your words." With a sense of urgency, Jacob continued. "The Sunwalker tribe captured Talon, believing him to be a scout, but he was only trying to look out for his brother. We're not enemies. None of us need to be." Silent tension filled the air as the elder processed Jacob's words. The gathered tribespeople whispered among themselves, uncertainty palpable in their hesitance. "Your actions indicate otherwise," Kaimana said slowly. "You wish for peace, yet your kin brings strife to our lands." "Why should we trust you?" "Because this land is shared between us," Jacob pressed. "These rivalries can destroy us both, and we've learned that in battle, but together we can forge something more. That's what I hope for." Kaimana paused, his expression inscrutable. "You come with a knife, a token of war, yet speak of peace. Is it not ironic?" Jacob swallowed hard, realizing how the unsettlement could be interpreted. "It is a token of respect, a gesture of goodwill. Consider it my pledge to honor our words." Kaimana lifted his chin slightly, studying the knife and the two brothers beside Jacob. "To honor one's word is a fragile thing in these lands. If you are sincere, then the Sunwalker tribe will listen, but if this is merely a ploy—" "It is not," Koa interrupted, urgency lacing his tone. "We all have suffered losses, and I would not endanger my brother or Jacob's life. Let our shared grief be a bridge rather than a barrier." Kaimana's expression softened imperceptibly, the weight of their predicament hanging between them like a thin thread in the wind. "So be it. We shall hold council on this matter. You will join us at the fire tonight. The sun will soon set, and I do not promise tolerance beyond that." Relief swelled within Jacob as he nodded in agreement. "Thank you, Elder. We will prove ourselves worthy." As they turned to leave the camp deeper into the woods, Koa leaned in closer to Jacob. You did well to earn Kaimana's interest, but tonight's council is but the first step. There's a long road ahead. Jacob nodded, the coming meeting looming large in his mind. They would need all their courage and resolve, for the Wild West was unforgiving, and true peace often required the bravest hearts of all. As the sun reached its zenith, the trio wandered through the dense woods, filled with a mixture of apprehension and cautious optimism. Each step deepened Jacob's respect for Koa and Talon's bond, the stakes now crystal clear. They were not merely fighting for survival, they were fighting for understanding amidst a land rife with conflict. By the time the sun began its descent, casting long shadows across the ground, they returned to the Sunwalker camp where a circle of elders had gathered around a roaring fire. The air buzzed with anticipation, and the forest around them seemed to hush, as if nature itself awaited the outcome of this pivotal moment. Kaimana stood at the forefront, his presence commanding yet calm. He gestured for Jacob, Koa, and Talon to join him at the fire, the flames licking upward, casting flickering light on the faces of those gathered. Tension crackled in the air, a tangible entity all its own. Kaimana's voice rang clear. We meet tonight in the spirit of open hearts and minds. Speak your peace, settlers, and let us see if you speak truth. Jacob took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the moment settle on his shoulders. With Koa and Talon beside him, he began. I stand here not just as a settler, but as a man, one who believes in the possibility of coexistence. The misunderstanding involving Talon nearly cost lives, families, and futures. Echoes of murmured agreement rippled through the circle, prompting Jacob to continue. We've seen enough bloodshed. The world is changing, and we have a choice, to live in fear of one another or to find a way forward together. Kaimana listened intently, his captivating eyes narrowing slightly. Words are wind, settler. What do you offer beyond fine speeches? Koa stepped forward, emboldened by his brother's conviction. We are willing to share knowledge and support one another. We can work as allies, protecting not just our families, but this land we share. We may not belong to the same tribes or traditions, but our fates are intertwined in this harsh wilderness. Talon spoke next, his voice stronger than before. We all have stories, stories of loss and triumph, pain and healing. Each of us has seen the darkness this life can bring, but I believe we can overcome it together. The elders exchanged glances, debating among themselves, while Jacob and the others remained silent, waiting for their judgment. Kaimana finally broke the silence. Trust is not given. It is earned in deeds, not mere words. I accept your offer to negotiate, but understand this. The honor of the Sunwalker tribe will not be compromised. Betrayal will be met with swift actions. Jacob felt a rush of relief wash over him, though the challenges ahead loom like mountains on the horizon. We understand, Elder. We'll do everything within our power to show that our intentions are genuine. The fire crackled, flames dancing higher as the night deepened. Kaimana motioned for one of the tribe members, a warrior named Moana, to approach. You will accompany these men, Kaimana instructed. Learn their ways. Should they falter, your role will be one of vigilance. Moana stepped forward, her presence imposing. Her long hair fell in braids down her back, and her sharp gaze bore the weight of many battles. If they stray from their word, my loyalty is to the tribe, she affirmed, her voice steady. But I will also ensure they remain safe, at least until we see their truth. With Moana now at their side, Jacob, Koa, and Talon felt both fortified and apprehensive. The council's decision was just the beginning, and they had to prove their sincerity. While surrounded by fireside stories and traditions, they listened carefully, absorbing the culture and wisdom that radiated from their newly appointed ally. As the night wore on, laughter blossomed alongside the crackling fire, mingling with solemn tales of ancestors, lost battles, and friendships forged in the heart of conflict. The stories painted a rich tapestry of what the Sunwalker tribe stood for, values that resonated deeply with the three men, reminding Jacob of their shared humanity amidst the turmoil. But beneath the laughter, seeds of doubt still lingered in Jacob's mind. How could they hope to foster trust when past grievances still scarred the land? That thought hung heavily, yet the bonds between them began to weave delicately, layer by layer, moment by moment. Eventually, the fire died down, embers glowing like stars against the darkening canvas of night. It was time to rest, but Jacob understood that their work had only just begun. They had to confront the interwoven issues that could threaten peace in their fragile alliance. As he settled down to sleep, surrounded by Koa and Talon, and guarded by Moana's vigilant presence, he reflected on the day's events. They had come far, but they still faced challenges that could shatter their newfound hope. And they needed to tread carefully, for the road ahead may hold trials that would test their resolve and chosen paths. With determination, Jacob closed his eyes, allowing the night to wrap around them like a protective blanket. They would face the dawn together, come what may, and perhaps, just perhaps, they might change the narrative of their intertwined fates for the better. The sun would rise anew, and with it, the potential for a future forged in trust and understanding in a land often split by division. Each man, united by a cause greater than themselves, stood ready to meet the challenges ahead. As the first light of dawn pierced the horizon, casting hues of soft pink and gold across the land, Jacob awoke to the tranquility of the Sunwalker camp. The warm breeze rustled the leaves overhead, promising a fresh start. He stretched and sat up, mentally preparing for the challenges ahead. Today was the day they would confront the Sunwalker tribe's grievances and set the course for their shared future. Koa and Talon were already awake, engaged in quiet conversation. Moments later, Moana joined them, her face calm but serious. "The council will meet after breakfast. Prepare your thoughts well, for words hold great weight in our culture," she advised, her tone direct and unwavering. Jacob nodded, trying to mask his nerves. "We'll be ready." He could feel the gravity of the moment pressing down on him, but he wouldn't let it crush him. They had come too far to turn back now. Breakfast was simple but hearty, a communal meal of roasted meat and wild berries. As they ate, Jacob observed the tribe members, noting the knit of their brows and the sporadic glances toward the fire pit. The atmosphere felt heavy, filled with unspoken concerns. Once they finished, Kaimana summoned them to gather around the main council fire, a sacred place that pulsed with the spirit of generations. The sun now hovered higher in the sky, illuminating the faces of the elders. Kaimana sat at the head of the circle, while Jacob, Koa, Talon, and Moana settled on the ground before him, heartbeats echoing the anticipation in the air. With a voice that resonated with authority, Kaimana began, "We gather to address the misunderstanding that has clouded our relations. Long-standing grievances have sown distrust between our people. Today we must seek clarity." Jacob felt eyes upon him, the weight of their scrutiny pressing down, but he straightened his back and met their gazes. "Elder Kaimana," he began, his voice steady, "as we stated, we wish to address this with the utmost respect. We are not here to take what is yours or to infringe upon your ways." Kaimana's expression remained inscrutable, encouraging Jacob to continue. Talon was never a threat. He was attempting to protect his family, as every man does. "I understand that actions speak louder than words, and I am willing to demonstrate my sincerity," Moana pointedly observed, her gaze unyielding. "And how do you intend to prove this? The Sunwalker tribe has suffered too long to accept mere promises." "By standing with you, fighting against every enemy that seeks to disrupt our lives," Jacob replied, clenching his fists tightly. "If you'll allow it, I wish to offer my assistance in defending your territory against any threats." This proclamation rippled through the gathered people, skeptical murmurs rising as they exchanged glances. Kaimana considered Jacob with narrowed eyes. "Would you act alongside our warriors, knowing full well the risks that come?" "Yes," Jacob affirmed without hesitation. "If we are to form an alliance, we need to trust one another in action, not just words. I'm prepared to follow your lead." Talon shifted, a glimmer of newfound strength illuminating his features. "We must work together. This land belongs to all of us. Though we fight differently, we should focus on what can unite us." Kaimana's expression softened just slightly. "It is rare for a settler to speak with such conviction. Are you certain your kin will not seek vengeance if we are to join forces?" Jacob's heart raced. "Together we can show them that cooperation is stronger than division. We are two cultures sharing the same land. If we can forge a bond, we might just change the narrative." Kaimana nodded slowly, as if digesting Jacob's words. Bravery is sometimes measured through action or word, but it is also tested through sacrifice. If you seek to prove your intentions, you will stand with us when we face our foes." "Without a doubt," Jacob promised, a fire igniting in his chest. "Together, we will stand against any who threaten our lives." With that commitment resonating through the air, a sense of unity began to mend the frayed edges of their fragile alliance. Kaimana didn't dismiss Jacob's pledge lightly. He turned to his fellow elders, consulting their expressions before concluding, "Then let it be known. We will accept your offer of alliance, but it will come with trials." The elders nodded in agreement, the tension loosening slightly, though the weight of uncertainty still loomed large. From the shadows, Kaimana called forth a warrior named Kyle, known for his strength and cunning. "Kyle will train you in our ways. You will learn the ways of a sunwalker, and in turn we shall see how sincere your intentions are." Jacob felt a rush of determination surge through him, thankful for this new opportunity. "I will do whatever it takes to prove my loyalty." "Very well," Kaimana said, a hint of approval dancing in his eyes. "The path ahead may be fraught with challenges, but today marks a new beginning. Perhaps together we can redefine what it means to be neighbors in this wild frontier." As the council meeting concluded, a sense of purpose electrified the air. Jacob, Koa, Talon, and Moana exchanged glances, the outcome stirring in each of them. Over the next few days, Jacob trained alongside Kale and others from the Sunwalker tribe, learning their ways, their history, the importance of the land and the bonds that tied the tribe together. Spiritual connections ran deep, something Jacob hadn't fully appreciated before. He learned not just how to wield a weapon, but also the respect and reverence that accompanied their customs. Time passed swiftly, and the bond between the settlers and the tribe deepened as they worked together. They set aside their differences and began crafting plans not just for defense but also for shared prosperity. One afternoon, while resting beneath a sprawling oak tree, Koa clapped Jacob on the shoulder. "You've come far, my friend. The tribe sees the strength in your heart. Look around. We're becoming something greater." They all understood the burden that still loomed. Rival factions were still out there, waiting for a chance to exploit any weaknesses. But that only strengthened their resolve to come together, to forge a future that respected their distinct heritage while embracing their shared destiny. The sun dipped low, drenching the landscape in hues of lavender and orange. For Jacob, this journey had transformed him. It was no longer just about survival, but about creating a life that honored everyone's story. With determination coursing through him, he realized they were building something that could last, a legacy stronger than the grudges of the past. As day turned to night, they gathered once again around the fire, sharing stories, laughter, and dreams of a future united. The words spoken now echoed with hope, a promise that together they would face whatever challenges awaited them in the Wild West, united as one.